Okay, Team Tonberry here, Asuma89Slicer, Shadow Reaper of Hell over there, Nintenderic. We're doing deck profiles again. I just got a new deck up and running with Hidden Arsenal 2 coming out. It's my Mist Valleys that I've been working on for the last about 3 months. So I thought I'd showcase them since they won every match today except for one, which I threw that match to help someone else out who had 2 losses in the first round. Got there late. Yeah, he even still placed anyway because he won every other round, but I could have won against his Black Wings regardless. Okay, first off, we've got Big Mama, Mist Valley Apex Avian. She's the one where if you activate a card effect, you can return a Mist Valley card on my side of the field to negate the effect. Works amazingly with Thunderbird, but in general, it's a good lockdown card. Got 27. The only problem with her is a 2-sack, but I have ways around that sometimes. Alector, Sovereign of Birds. He's a good special summon monster sometimes, as well as he can help me negate some of the things that might give me issues. Other than that, he's a really cool winged beast monster that hasn't seen a lot of play from what I've seen. I've got 2 Executioners. Yes, I know I could probably use one of the slots for something a little bit better, but with some of the strategies I use, it works really well. But he's essentially a giant Trunade, but it only hits face-up spells and traps, but works well for me. I run 3 Mist Valley Falcons. They're the big beat stick that's not a synchro or anything for this deck. He allows me to recycle so much in this deck, so he's really good for it. Then I run 3 Soldiers, which is a really good tuner for this deck. Really good to get around those things like Marshmallow and Spirit Reaper. Used to get around Fortress Warrior and Pashul a lot today also. This one is Mist Valley Watcher. This one's a little bit more unusual, but it helps me get out my Mist Valley Thunderlord a little bit easier due to his weird requirements for his summoning.
Thank you, Nintenderic.
Then we have Mist Condor. Works really well with Thunderbird again. As well, it helps me get out a somewhat decent attack monster sometimes. But I have some issues with him, but he works fine. Mist Valley Shaman, the other tuner I use, she works really well as well. My main usage for her is to sync for Thunderlord with Falcon or my Watcher that we just got over here a second ago. I don't really use her ability that often unless I brain control my opponent's monster, then I'll return it after I'm done using the monster in whatever way. The Thunderbirds, I run 3 of them. They're kind of a staple at 3 as far as I'm concerned for all the return stuff that this deck's got. A lot of people think this deck returns a lot of your opponent's stuff. It doesn't really return a lot of the stuff on your opponent's side of the field. It's about returning your own stuff. And when this one's returned back to your hand, it special summons itself and it just can't attack that turn. It's not really an issue for this deck though. Hunter Owl, just kind of a broken winged beast due to the fact that it gets 500 attack for each wind attribute monster on my side of the field, and when there's another wind attribute monster on my side of the field, it can't be selected as an attack target. Either way, it's really easy to get well over 2,000 attack without a problem. I run 2 back to square ones to really counteract a lot of the issues that this deck has due to the lack of support. Yes, those people that are fans of the whole hand advantage thing, I don't view it as an issue. Bait Doll, I mostly threw this one initially in because it kind of fit the theme with the whole kind of Native American thing kind of going, but it works really well.
Native American.
Then there's Brain Control. Brain Control works for all sorts of good things for it. Giant Trunade, General Staple, works really well with this deck. Heavy Staple, Lightning Staple, MST Staple. To help power up this deck in general, I run 3 Rising Air Currents. Makes a lot of them a whole lot stronger, especially the big one that I'll be getting to here shortly. Swords. Swords is incredibly broken in this deck. I can create an infinite sword several ways within this deck. Terraforming, I run 2 of them to get those Rising Air Currents easily. Bottomless, good staple card that helps make this deck a little bit more competitive. Call of the Haunted, really freaking broken in this deck sometimes. I run 2 Compulsories, really helps make this deck work a lot better. This was the Destruction Jammer was mostly thrown in there due to the fact that the Big Mama, the Apex Avian, can't handle counter traps. so it's an easy way to help protect her. Then I have an Icarus attack. Due to the fact that they're a mix of Wing Beast, and Thunders, I didn't feel two Icarus attacks really would be that proactive, but one seems to work relatively well. Then there's the Threatening Roar, just a staple in general. And then, as you guys know, I'm a purist, so I try to stick to the archetype for its synchros. I've got the Mist Valley Thunderlord, which becomes ungodly with the Rising Air Currents. I can get him up to 36 with it, and it runs over almost anything.
Arise, chicken.
And I run 3 of him because he's pretty easy to get.
And everybody knows.
And then Mistworm. Yes, everyone's running this guy. He is related to the Mist Valleys. He's essentially in the bottom of the valley creating all the mist.
So how easy is it to get out?
Kind of hard to get out, but when I can get him out, it's typically when I really, really need him. But in general, I mostly go for this guy, which is kind of epic. Besides, due to the fact that he's tearing apart Catastrophe.
Totally Catastrophe would kill
I
him.
know. Watching kill Catastrophe in it, even though it wouldn't
Are you
happen.
gonna, when you summon him, do you say arise, chicken, arise?
No, I do not.
You need to.
As well, I found out today this thing hates Harpy decks like none other. I almost got this guy out, a Thunderbird, and the Big Mama Apex Avian all out at once. So it really hates the Harpies
Yeah,
for
we
some
still
reason.
don't know how it does against an actual non-sucky metagame.
Yeah, the Blackwing deck I went up against today, I could have beaten if I didn't feel
Whoa,
like giving him a
let's
shot.
totally not use Gale before we synchro.
That's a different issue. This is a deck video.
But
so.
yeah.
Yeah, so anything you want to say? Thoughts on the deck? Blah, 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 blah.
Well, either way, I've been testing it for 3 months on Stardust Accelerator. I'm pretty happy with it. It's been a pain for certain people due to the fact of the compulsories and the back to square ones, but other than that, that's the deck.
It eats harpies.
Yes, it does.